Hello everyone and welcome to a Readathon wrap-up. This one was for Magical Hopathon, which was hosted by Rachel from her YouTube channel Cerys. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that, but it is spelled Cerys. Chris, could be very wrong on that. I do apologize if Rachel sees this. Yes, so this was really fun. This is based off of, Magical Hopathon is based off of the Disney World attractions. You have to read a book to enter a park, okay? To enter the parks. And then you have the Magical Kingdom, and under Magical Kingdom you have a couple of prompts for attraction, snacks, and shows. Each one has 3 categories, and she did have, and it was on her announcement video. I'll link her channel in the description box. I highly recommend it. She had like a PDF, Google Doc PDF that had on like Canva. I don't think I have it on, I downloaded it and then I moved it to Canva. So I downloaded it from her thing to Canva, where it was one that it had spots and it was a book for each thing that you could put in. So like for the park attraction, and then you can read a prompt for park entrance. And then for Magical Kingdom, if you read one book for the attraction, then you can get an image of the book and then put it on that PDF format thing. So anyway, so I did that, and I think I accidentally deleted it because I was clearing a bunch of stuff off of my phone, and that, anyway, I would have posted that to Instagram, but I can't find it anymore. So we had Magical Kingdom, and then the other park was Epcot, if I'm saying that right. I think I am. Epcot, and then we had Hollywood Studios, and then Animal Kingdom, so 4 parks. And you only had to read 1 book for the park entrance, so it wasn't 1 book per park. It was just 1, and then you can have access to all of the parks. So the park entrance prompt, and this one you had to read first, was a book you cannot stop thinking about. I could not stop thinking about caution tape since I got this book. So this is what I used for that prompt. This is very dark. It is very much adult. It is sexually explicit. You have blood play. You have sex by a dead body. Animal death. This is a romance between 2 people that are giving in to their urges to kill people. So 2 serial killers, and it's a romance between them and them giving into their dark urges and dark desires, and it's, again, very sexually explicit. You have a hostage situation, forcing the hostage to watch you have sex with this person. Yeah, so very, very dark. One thing I underlined was all things die eventually. Death is normal, and it cannot be escaped. So, I mean, yeah, as true as that is, but this is just like them trying to use that, especially the male, trying to use that as an excuse to kill people, because it's like, well, they're going to die anyway, might as well just do it now. So, this was co-authored by Molly Doyle and J.D. Midnight. I gave this one 4 stars, and it was 276 pages. So, then, underneath Magical Kingdom, I'm just going to tell you the prompts that I did. So for Magical Kingdom, I did the prompt for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And this is to read a book that has multiple cover options. I went with Alice by Christina Henry. There are a couple of different cover options for this book. This is a horror retelling of Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Now, Christina Henry, that sounds familiar. I think that's a romance author duo, but this Christina Henry is not that author genre type thing. I give this one 3 stars. It was 292 pages. As I said, it's an Alice in Wonderland retelling, but horror. This one, Alice is in a mental institute. They keep calling it an asylum in this book. And I believe the character that she is with is the Mad Hatter. This has fantastical elements. People have magical abilities. You do meet Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They are like, not bouncers, but bodyguards in this book. You do meet, not not the White Rabbit. Alice is trying to get to the White Rabbit, who is actually a human in this world, and he has laid claim to Alice, and she is trying to free herself from said claim. That's the book. She's on this journey with this Mad Hatter character trying to find the White Rabbit. And ultimately going to kill the White Rabbit is her goal. They have to stay in hiding. This Mad Hatter has this magical ability to just kind of sense the correct direction to go, when to hide, things like that. He's got this innate ability to be able to do so. They do meet the worm or the caterpillar in this, except he is human and he owns this place where women are kept in cages and made to dance and strip for people. And if the person wants to have sex with them, they're supposed to just have sex with this client. So it gets pretty dark. People do get kidnapped and forced into said brothel type situations. So it is dark. Just be aware of that. Okay, so that was the attraction. Now, for the snack to have at the Magical Kingdom, I did Dole Whip. And this was to read a booktuber favorite. I went with How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. I know this is a favorite somewhere on BookTube. I have seen it. And if not this specific book, I went with definitely the author. I know that there are a couple of booktubers that absolutely love Matt Haig. This is the second book by Matt Haig, and I have absolutely enjoyed this one. I gave this one 4 stars, 325 pages. We are following Tom. And this is a dual timeline type of a thing, kind of. The main one is present day. He's in London. He was born hundreds upon hundreds of years ago. He is not a vampire. He does age, but he can look like he's 15 years old for 300 or 400 years. And then he'll start to look like he's eventually like he's 20 years old again for another 300 or 400 years. So eventually he does age. This condition that prevents him from aging like everyone else makes it so he does not get the common cold, he does not get the flu, things like that. There was a time when there was a plague going around and he did not get the plague. And there are several people like him. There is this organization and they try to find other people like them and recruit them into said organization and things like that. Tom is realizing that some people are keeping secrets and he's trying to figure out who he can really trust. One of the rules is never to fall in love, and he did and had a child, and he's trying to find said child. He is starting to have feelings for this other person in present day and trying to prevent himself from developing said feelings, even though he is developing said feelings. There is disability rep. Epilepsy is talked about in this, and one character actually does have a seizure on page. This was the book club selection for the book club that I host, where we read a book by an author that is confirmed to be autistic every month, and this was the selection. Matt Haig is autistic. So yeah, How to Stop Time. The other timeline we follow is just while he was growing up. There was one point, like the 12 or 1300s, I don't exactly remember when, 1891, 1599, 1860, so it kind of jumps around as far as the times and different places. London, he's lived in the US, he's lived in Sri Lanka, he goes to Australia, so he kind of goes all over the place. But I had a great time, and I will definitely be picking up another book by Matt Haig. I thoroughly do enjoy his writing. And then for the show, there are 2 options, and I went with Happily Ever After, and this is to read a book at night. And this one I read like in 2 nights, and it happened to be over 2 days that I was very busy and couldn't really pick it up and read, so I read it at night. This is The Rocky Road to Ruin by Meri Ellen. This is book number 1 in an ice cream shop mystery. This is cozy mystery. So it's your standard cozy mystery formula. The main character in this case is home in a small town, taking a break from her government job with the CIA. She is helping her best friend whose mother has passed away. She's helping her friend run the ice cream shop. Someone very close to the main character's friend dies. The friend is now suspected of said murder of this person. And of course the main character does not believe that her best friend could have done this, and so she inserts herself into the investigation and starts to get into mischief to try to solve this and figure out who really killed the person instead of her best friend. And it just goes from there. Cozy mystery. You don't have anything vulgar. You don't have anything sexually explicit. It is not graphic. They are just really fun. Definitely lighthearted reads and to be taken very lighthearted. I gave this one 4 stars, 338 pages, and I will definitely be continuing with this series. I actually have the next book, so at some point I will get to it. The next theme park was Epcot. So for the attraction, I went to Living with the Land. This is to read a short book, so a book that is less than 300 pages. I went with Night Games by R.L. Stine. I gave this one 3 stars. It was 165 pages. This is a young adult horror thriller. And in this particular one, we're following this group of teenagers where at midnight they get together and they go and play pranks on people. They do get more and more severe. So it starts from just scaring this couple that happens to be making out in this car. The windows are steamed up and they scare them, make the couple think they're the police type of a thing, and then take off running. And then it's vandalizing someone's and damaging someone's property in their front lawn. And then it's eventually leads to breaking and entering, and then vandalism inside and things like that. Eventually a dead body is found, and it continues to go from there. So each night gets progressively more severe. Like if the police were to find them, the charges that would be filed against said teenagers would become more severe, from like misdemeanor, from like a slap on the wrist and a warning to a misdemeanor to a felony, etc. Anyway, so that is that. Just fun. Fear Street, R.L. Stine. Okay. And then for the snack at Epcot, I went with Food and Wine Festival Booth. This one was to randomize a book off of your TBR. I did a number generator, so off of my TBR shelf, I counted how many books. I did a random number generator, and the one that came up with was Cassie's Secrets by Ophelia Bell. I gave this one 4 stars. It was 181 pages, very, very much adult. Very sexually explicit language, a lot of sexually explicit scenes, and this is very much a taboo. The main female character is 18. This is a why choose. It's a male, female, male romance. This gal just graduated from high school. She's freshly 18 years old. Gets home late, so past her curfew. Her stepdad is waiting for her in her bedroom and says, you have 2 options for your punishment for breaking curfew. You're grounded for the summer, or you can take a spanking and just be done with your punishment. She opts for the spanking. In order to get said spanking, he informs her, remove your pants, remove your underwear, and bend over. She does as she is told. He spanks her bare butt. She gets sexually turned on. He gets sexually turned on, and they have sex. Stepfather, stepdaughter, but again, she is 18, so she is of legal age to consent, and it goes from there. And then the next morning, his best friend shows up, and then the 3 of them have sex together. So, yeah, that is the book, is them having sex. Okay. And her realizing she likes that. And then for the show at Epcot, I went with Voices of Liberty, and this is to read a book with a beautiful cover. I went with an ebook, Christmas at Copper Mountain by Jane Porter. I gave this one 4 stars. It was 147 pages. So there is one scene that gets a little spicy, but it is very mild. Definitely, this would be R. The other one, that one scene, like the whole book for this one would be R, but the other one, I would say just that one little scene would be like a 5-minute clip in a movie if it was made to a movie. This one, the big thing in this is grief. The 2 main characters, you have a single woman and a single man. Both are dealing with the loss of a partner. One of them is dealing with loss or death of children or a child. And it just goes from there. They are coming to terms with allowing themselves to, 1, grieve, and 2, allow their hearts to open up and feel love again and fall in love with someone else. So, I mean, that's what it is. And with 147 pages, that is it. This is a Western, so it is a Western romance. Okay. And then with Epcot, was that it for Epcot? So the snack was the Food and Wine, the show was the Voices of Liberty. Yes, so that Epcot is done. Okay. Hollywood Studios. So the attraction that I went to was Rise of the Resistance, and this was to read a science fiction or a fantasy. I went with a science fiction, and this is a climate change science fiction. There is a specific word and I am blanking on that. Anyway, the book that I went with was The Water Knife, and this was written by Paolo. Let me see if I can figure out how to say his last name. Bacigalupi. So I was saying Bacigalupi. It's Bacigalupi. And he says it himself. It's a little YouTube clip where he's talking about some of the books that he read. So Paolo Bacigalupi. I went with the sci-fi. So The Water Knife, it's a climate change science fiction. For this one, we're dealing with the drought. This does take place in the United States. At some points, it does take place in Nevada. But for the most part, this does take place in Arizona. So it is hot. Water is very much, due to this drought, a precious commodity, as it is right now, but even more so with this drought. You have these organizations that are very mob-like, and they send people out to scare people into why are you hoarding water, or what's going on with this certain situation over here while they're hoarding water over here. And if they have to, they'll kill you over water. So some people, you have a voucher for water, things like that. So this definitely made me appreciate water a lot more, which I already did, but this will definitely, when you read this book, make you appreciate water even much more than you currently do. I gave this one 3 stars, 371 pages. Okay, for the snack for Hollywood Studios, I went with Ronto Wrap. I don't know what that is. So this was to read a book that is outside of your comfort zone. I went with a book of poetry. Poetry is outside of my comfort zone. It can be very hit or miss. A lot of the times it can go over my head, but this one was actually very simple. Let me see how to pronounce this guy's name too, or this author's name. Francesco Marciuliano, if I heard that correctly. Anyway, the book is Oh, It's You. This is a collection of poetry all told from your cat's perspective. The cat taking a nap, what the cat expects from you, how the cat should act. It was really cute. I gave this one 5 stars because it's a cat, and I was actually able to understand all the poems. It was 111 pages, and that's pretty much it. Just a collection of short poetry, all from the cat's perspective. Underneath the shows for Hollywood Studios, I went with Frozen Sing-Along, and this is to read while listening to an audiobook. I read After Dark, and I listened to the audiobook as well. I gave this one 2 stars. It was 247 pages. This was written by Haruki Murakami. The reason why this got a lower rating is because it was magical realism. I tend to struggle with magical realism. I knew that going in, and this was no exception. I will say the writing was very, very well done in this, in my opinion. Think The Truman Show starring Jim Carrey, except we have a female as the main character. It takes place in Japan, and they say a lot of it is told from this female's perspective, with her conversing with other people and in certain situations. She has a sister who is in a coma-like state, but it is not a coma. The sister can wake up and eat, but all she does is wake up and eat, go back to sleep, and then wake up and go to the bathroom, and then she's back to sleep. So they're trying to figure out what's going on with that. And then you get occasional commentary from someone saying, through the TV screen we see this, and we zoom in. And so I was left with more unanswered questions and was still a little confused by the end, but the writing was well done. I am definitely willing to pick up more of this author's work to see if maybe something else will be more enjoyable to me. And then the last Disney World attraction that I went to was the Animal Kingdom. The attraction I did was Expedition Everest. This was to read an intimidating book. I went with Dark Water by Koji Suzuki. Takes place in Japan, so this is translated from Japanese. This is a collection of horror short stories. I like horror. It can be a little intimidating because sometimes it doesn't go dark enough, in my opinion. This one I would say leans more towards literary fiction with a sprinkling of horror. So as far as the horror, I was let down, but it was still enjoyable, in my opinion. I gave this one 3 stars, 282 pages, short stories, horror short stories where water is involved somehow. One story they go spelunking. One is they're trying to cross a body of water. One, they're on this island where someone got sent. So, and that's pretty much all I can say. I do want more. This author, I did want this to go darker. This was not an exception to me. This author did write The Ring, so the movie adaptation is done by this author, and I really want to get to that. So I think I'll enjoy that more than this one, at least I hope so. So anyway, I enjoyed that. And it was intimidating because it's horror short stories, and that tends to be very hit or miss and tends to intimidate me with even trying to pick it up. Okay, and lastly was snacks. Or no, there was shows and then snacks. So for snacks, I went with The Night Blossom, which was to read a book that was Instagram worthy. I gave this book 4 stars, and if it gets a 3-star or more, it's Instagram worthy for me. I take a picture of it, put it on Instagram. I went with a library book, The Sweetest Revenge, and another reason this was Instagram worthy is because I really enjoyed the writing. This was a comedic romance, not sexually explicit, although the language was a bit rough, so more vulgar. It does take place in England, in London, England. The main character works in the TV industry. An idea is stolen from her at one point. She gets very drunk and climbs on top of the man's car and pees on his car. And then she moves to London, and then this man shows up again. And so there's questions regarding that. And as you will see from the cover, it is The Sweetest Revenge by Lizzy, Dent. This was very funny. I was giggling throughout this book, and I will definitely be reading more. I did buy another book by Lizzy Dent because I want to read another of her books, and 340 pages of just giggling throughout this. It was very funny. Moving on, the last prompt was shows, and I missed out on the shows for the Animal Kingdom. I just ran out of time, so that is the one that I did not get. So I think that's pretty good. So that's a total of 12 books read for this magical Hopathon. 2,803 pages divided by the 31 days for the month of July. That's 90.42 pages read per day. Or divided by the 12 books, it's 233.58 pages per book. 1 book got a 2-star, 4 books got 3 stars, 6 got 4 stars, and 1 got a 5-star. That's 43 stars issued. Divided by the 12 books, it's a 3.58 reading star average. Let me know. Did you participate in the magical Hopathon? Did you complete all of the prompts? A prompt for each part. For the shows, the food, and the attraction, did you do it? Again, I was just shy by 1 for all of them. So let me know. And have you read any of these books or books from any of these authors? Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I will talk to you later. And thank you so much to Rachel for creating a really fun readathon.